Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today will be a comparison review of Glengoyne 25 New vs. Old. We have the newest version, the 2020, maybe 21 bottling, and then the 2014 bottling.
Could be slightly later as well.
Yeah, about that. But the two different
Old
styles.
packaging.
Yeah, both.
Package.
Yeah, both 48% ABV. This one I've had for a few years now. This one Dustin was able to pick up here shortly, so not an exact comparison, but at least.
This one probably needs a little more time to fully oxidize, but hey.
We had them both here. This bottle was about to be done, so we figured we'll bring them to you. All right. Tail of the tape, both 48%, about as even as you can get as far as whiskey. This is just basically grading the whiskey through the years. And as you can tell, the older whiskey over here is a little bit darker. These, I believe, were all first fill sherry, where these say mostly first fill sherry, so it might be a little bit of a difference just because of a little bit of second fill maturation in this one, but still dark whiskeys.
Yeah, I mean, it's lighter, but it's not, you're not looking at this going, oh, they've turned it down big time,
For sure. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, let's take a look at this 25 as far as the nose first, since we were pretty familiar with this here lately.
Yeah, so again, it's definitely not rich and dark as sherried whiskeys go. I mean, it's dark,
Yeah, nice chocolate, dark chocolate notes. A little bit of milk chocolate notes too, almost some cocoa.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't let the European oak really come out and kind of dominate. You don't get that heavy European oak spice.
No, very, very middle of the road, especially for a 25-year-old.
Yeah, it lets the sweetness of the sherry stand out versus trying to overpower it with a little bit of oak.
But still a rich whiskey. Mm-hmm. Still something that comes off very much 48% ABV.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell it's old. Has nice, subtle oak notes to it as well.
Yeah, you're definitely getting old whiskey here. You're getting something that makes you think first fill sherry, even if it's not 100%.
Yeah, those were good casks at the very least.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the new one. The old one. Obviously a little bit darker.
So this one has more of a. It's darker. First off, just straight up, it's darker.
More of a sherry punch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting like more of a grape, whereas this one was more plums and raisins. This one's getting more grape, and it's the density. I am getting a little more oak, a little more spice.
More cherry, where that didn't really get cherry with this one.
Black cherry. Very spicy, actually, comparatively.
A richer whiskey on the nose.
Yes and no. It actually finishes a little cleaner and faster. It almost comes off a little more alcohol. Like I would think
it's more stinging, but I guess I attributed that to more of the spice notes to it. I could be wrong, though.
It's more drying on my nostrils too. Like that's kind of where I'm thinking a little.
It's more aggressive, for sure.
Yeah,
it's more aggressive. It's more,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I could see where you like either one of these better, Mike. If you like something a little sweeter, you're definitely, I think, going to be more. The new one's going to be a little more your wheelhouse. If you like a little more dark, a little danker, maybe more Dunnage Warehouse elements, I think the older one's a little more of that.
Yeah, it's more aggressive. I feel like it's more, more in your face, the older 25. But when you say Dunnage, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah. Kind of the difference.
I don't know that I really think of it as more aggressive. It's more. This one's more soft, whereas this one's a little sharper.
Okay, I could say that. Sharper was a good way to say it.
I think the level of aroma here is about the same. The old one might even be a little bit more aromatic. It's soft. It's like you're smelling a cloud.
It's amazing that I've had this bottle open for a while.
And it's still so strong,
it's all the way down to this level, and it's this sharp still.
Well, I finished my first bottle that maybe a year ago, and I can tell you from the start to finish, and I had mine down around there for a while because I didn't want to kill it. It was consistent, and it was really good. It never lost anything.
It's good ABV.
Yeah, 48% holds up well.
Not only that, if it's 40% after already a quarter of a century, it's already had a lot of oxidation in the actual cask itself, so... I've often felt that the older the whiskey gets, the more it doesn't lose ABV at the same rate. But then again, they're lower ABVs.
Yeah, starting with a higher ABV, I mean, it does. And you know what? They use their corks seal well on both.
Quality item.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to hop right into the newer one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely more obvious sherry influence on the older one compared to the newer one. I agree. You could really pick either one. One's more relaxed. One's a far more aggressive, serious drink, being the older one.
For me, I think it's a difference in the casks. They both come off 100% sherry to me. Like
It's lighter, though, when you go back to smelling it.
It's lighter, but again, I mean, that's just telling me again, the sherry casks weren't as dark. Or again, this one may have had a little bit of older whiskey or something like that.
Perhaps. What are you picking up on the palate?
Yeah. Again, this is sweet, beautiful, slightly spicy oak, but not super spicy. I've definitely had much more spice in a European sherry butt. Almost would have made me, if I were guessing, I would have thought they used some American cask. Not all, but some. But still very nice, very sweet, just classic sherry, Mike.
Very much so. Exactly what you would expect out of a 25-year-old Glengoyne, 48% ABV. It is to a 25-year-old sherry whiskey, to me, what the Balvenie 15-year-old sherry barrel is to a 15-year-old sherry whiskey. It's exactly what you expect to get.
Yeah.
Old school sherry at a good ABV, both of them 47.6 and 48. If you like the Balvenie 15 sherry for $130 or $40 or whatever, it is worth your time to try this whiskey. It's not Balvenie.
No.
But it's very much that next step up as far as a really classic, older sherried whiskey.
You know what's funny is I'm thinking about it, Mike. I used to tell people Glendronach 18 was that between those two, but now that they've kind of younger whiskey, they've shell filtering. I don't know if it's still there. What is between those two?
Well, Glendronach, I never agreed with that, and this is the reason why. Glendronach 18 is a sherry overcoat. I've said these are classic sherried whiskeys. Balvenie 15-year-old and this Glengoyne 25. When I say classic sherry, people that are sherry whiskey drinkers know exactly what to expect, exactly what that ABV and age, what you would imagine those whiskeys to be, are exactly what you get out of those whiskeys.
Is there a whiskey between those two?
No, not that you get on a consistent basis.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of a dead market between that 15-year and this 25-year.
I mean, you could say Macallan 18. I wouldn't call that classic sherried whiskey. I would call it Macallan because there's too much ginger in it.
I don't know. The purple boxes maybe, the new ones. I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know. It's something I guess I have to think about more.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to hop into this older 25.
Yeah, just to smell it. Again, it's a sharper smell. It definitely jumps out a little bit more. What are you picking up on the palate?
This is more flavorful. It's more intense. But on the finish, that European oak really comes out, and you get a lot more bitter European oak on the finish. Whereas this one had nice oak balance all the way through. It's bigger, it's darker, it's more like dark chocolate, less vanilla chocolate. It's more spicy oak versus toasted oak.
Yes, it's more spicy. It does kind of flirt with being more tannic, especially on the finish. It's a bigger sherry punch initially. What this is this is a slightly more exotic sports car.
Yeah. And
you got to ask yourself, it is a more exotic sports car, and if I plan to drive it more aggressive, is this really a good idea?
It's a Cayman, and this is a Corvette.
All right, so here's the thing. These whiskeys are both really good in a slightly different way. Now, with all these comparisons, as always, it's if we were at a bar, someone was picking up the tab. Which one would you prefer to drink at a bar? Here's what I'll say. Either one, since they're basically similar whiskeys, are going to be fun to drink. These are 25-year-old cherry cask whiskeys. They're going to be fun to drink.
Yeah.
If I'm at a bar, I still, it's very easy to say I want to be safe and just go with the new version because the new version is a safer whiskey. But I do like the pop of the older one. Maybe I'm partial to the older one, but by a very, very slim margin, I would take the older one. But I think it purely, but I'm not here to say it's a better whiskey. I'm just here to say if you want something a little more aggressive, a little more pop, a little spicier, this is the one. If you want something a little bit more relaxed, a little more milk chocolate, this is the one.
Yeah. If we're at a bar, we just had coffee or something, we're not getting dessert, we're having a whiskey, I think I'm going to get this one. If we're at a bar and we're just having our first pour of the night, and we want something amazing, I'm pouring this one. And I think more often than not, I'm taking the old one.
It's close, though.
It is. I think up front, I like this one a lot better. And on the finish, I like this one better.
That's
just kind of...
Yeah, it's the kind of finish you want. This finish is where it kind of gets a little squirrely as far as the experience. The finish where it gets a little bit tannic at the end, that's on the finish.
But the real question for everybody, Mike,
What will they taste like together?
how often do you get to try blending two different?
I will try. We've never done that before. But these
they're the same malt, same everything.
Yeah.
It makes sense to blend them.
This is a very close battle. But here is the main takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
We wondered for years before you got this one, was it the same whiskey?
Mm-hmm.
It isn't.
No, but I don't think every batch of these were the same whiskey.
Agreed.
So, is it a different whiskey? Yes. But is it the same quality that you expect out of Glengoyne?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's a very, very, very similar quality product, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, again, I mean, this is one of those cases where, why not both?
For sure. Yeah, if you can get your hands on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're both still fairly priced if you can pick them up. I mean, these are getting harder and harder to find, but again, fairly priced.
There's still some of those floating around the U.S. They, unfortunately, the reason they're floating around is they were never priced correctly in the U.S. The ones that are left, I should tell you. Definitely, Mike and I got some steals on some 25s.
I tell you what, though, mixing together, it's about what you expect.
It actually kind of brings them the good and bad of both. I actually think it added a little punch, added a little spice, but it didn't make it as spicy on the finish.
Yeah, so this one probably is more so than any other comparison review I've ever done. There's really no wrong answer. There really isn't. I really didn't expect to say that.
I was expecting, and the funny thing was when I first nosed the old one, I thought, oh, it's going to win by a landslide for me. And then I tasted it and I went, oh, this is killing it. And then the finish came in and I went, oh, well, not really.
I mean, again, I would still pick it.
I would too as well, but I mean, it's close. And then I went back and forth, with water and everything, and I mean, they're just really good whiskeys.
Yeah, the difference is we in our initial whiskey review, we gave this a 90 because we said it was both just it's a perfect sherry cask whiskey, but it didn't do anything extra.
Yeah.
Remember that? This actually does do a little bit extra. This one, I could see a 91 on this one, where this one would be a 90.
I think I'd give them both a 90, but I will say this.
I probably would now too. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this one does have that little twinge of extra. 90.5?
Yeah. Let's put it this way. If you want to really, truly appreciate what European oak does that's different from American oak with sherry, this does a much better job of showcasing it. And in fact, this one does a better job than the 30-year we reviewed did, even though it had more oak.
I agree.
Because that one also used refill casks, and it took away some of that European oomph that really makes this whiskey special. Whereas this one, again, beautifully done, probably a more balanced whiskey. This might even be a more technically, accurately better whiskey.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just saying
it might be, but yeah.
Right. I'm totally with you. But I tell you what.
But you're right. This one does have something that's a little bit unusual.
I will say this, though. This is probably, for me in this distillery, this is my sweet spot with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I think the 21 would be great if they put it at 48% and keep the price about the same. But they don't. It's 43. Not even 46.
Anyway, great review. If you guys had a chance to try any of these, let us know what you guys think. Dust, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
We'll see you then.